G'day everyone, so that PS5 event happened this morning and it was pretty great, wasn't it? It was pretty exciting. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great showcase. I think Sony continues to hit these things out of the park and they are just continuing to deliver hype in the games industry where the void of E3 and other events like that have always gotten us excited in the past, they're just nowhere to be found these days, but Sony continues to bring it and I really appreciate that. Let's go over what we learned. There's been a lot of information kind of coming out as the day goes on and it's been a bit of a mess in that regard with pre-orders and everything, but fun stuff to talk about. So in comparison to what I predicted, the price of the PlayStation 5 is $499 US, and the digital is $399 US. Absolutely nailed it. Next, I was off on the days. That was always, obviously a hard one to guess, but it's launching November 12th, and the interesting thing is that that's a Thursday, 2 days after the Xbox Series X and S. So I never even would have guessed that day anyway, because I wouldn't have expected them to go with a Thursday. So there you go, that's kind of surprising. Comes out most places on that day, and then a week later in Europe on November 19th. Alright, so I predicted that there would be a real get hype announcement to end the stream, and I said I thought it would be God of War 2, and goddamn was I happy to be right about that one. We got less than I thought. I thought, we got our little Kratos dialogue moment. I thought we'd at least get a cool look at something, like a bit of scenery or a setting or something, or rather that would kind of reveal a bit more information. Instead we just got the logo. But hey dude, just hearing that music, getting that confirmation, it's exciting nonetheless. But by far the thing that is just shocking about this, 2021 is what this trailer ends with. I don't know if a single human being saw this one coming. This just seems so soon. I think if you'd asked us beforehand, we would have said maybe 2022 at the earliest. For this game, they're sticking by 2021 on their first reveal here. That's some confidence right there. And look, obviously I would expect this sequel to take less time to develop than the previous installment, but still, that space of time would end up being presumably 3.5 years. It's going to be late 2021, because we've still got a huge slate of PS5 games that we've seen way more about to come before that. So if they're targeting late 2021, that would be 3.5 years from the first game. I guess when you say it like that, it could make sense, but I don't know. I would definitely expect this game to be delayed. I would not be surprised at all to see it moved into 2022, sometime in the first half of that year. I'm pulling for them. I'm pulling for Sony Santa Monica and the team there. I think it would be amazing if they managed to get it out on time, but I'm not overly confident. I would presume it's going to be called God of War Ragnarok now with that little tagline, Ragnarok is coming, or maybe not, I don't know. Now this is where the messaging got a little all over the place for Sony, I think. They were very, very strangely communicating what games were launch titles and what weren't during the presentation itself. They kind of just refused to say what was a launch title. It was very, very weird. The ends of trailers would just come and go and you're like, wait, when is this coming out? And then friggin' they'd tweet out 20 minutes after the show ended, by the way, here are the launch titles. It was a bit all over the place. Don't know what the reasoning is behind that. But regardless, the PlayStation Studios developed launch titles for PlayStation 5. So this is first and second party launch titles. We've got Astro's Playroom, which comes pre-installed on every PlayStation 5, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Spider-Man Miles Morales and the Ultimate Edition, which comes with Spider-Man Remastered, and Sackboy A Big Adventure. I was pretty close. We knew Miles Morales was going to be launched, that's fine. I stuck by in the predictions video that Sackboy A Big Adventure would be the other big launch title, or, big in quotes. I'm sure it's going to have an audience, but I was weighing up between that and Demon's Souls. I went with Sackboy, but it turns out both of them are launch titles, so there you go, that's fun. I'm not really interested in either of those games. Miles Morales is the one that's up my alley. And of course, we're getting our third-party releases, the traditional holiday stuff, your Assassin's Creed, your CODs, and Cyberpunk as well is going to be launched, so that's really exciting. Other announcements, Final Fantasy 16 was confirmed in the opening of the presentation, which, as someone who's never played a Final Fantasy game, really couldn't give two shits about Final Fantasy. That was a cool announcement, that was pretty hype. I believe that this has been the longest break between announcements for the next Final Fantasy game ever in Square Enix history. Normally with the amount of friggin' mainline Final Fantasy games there are, they're very quick to announce the next one after the last one came out, but Final Fantasy 15 came out in 2016, so 4 years later, we're getting the confirmation of Final Fantasy 16. I don't really know anything about the world of Final Fantasy, so maybe fans can dissect that trailer a bit more, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool announcement. And the fact that it's a console exclusive, not a launch exclusive, not a timed exclusive, a console straight up exclusive. It's not coming to Xbox whatsoever, which is crazy. Getting back to the old days of Final Fantasy, getting back to its roots. 7 Remake is coming to Xbox next year, so, Sony has that relationship, but traditionally Xbox has still been getting those titles. not for Final Fantasy 16. That's a big get for Sony, good for them. And finally, that freaking Harry Potter RPG, dude. The amount of times I've talked about that shit on my channel, the amount of times that I've predicted it for Game Awards videos, for E3 videos, and it finally turns up at this goddamn conference. I'd honestly sort of given up that game was even ever coming out. I thought it was probably cancelled or something, but it's very real. It's coming out next year, cross-platform, and I thought it looked absolutely terrific. It's called Hogwarts Legacy. When we first heard about it, it had other rumoured titles and things, and dude, I thought it looked absolutely terrific. You know, creating a character, getting into those RPG systems, the combat looked interesting, and I'm hoping it's something a bit different, a bit unique, and spending time in that world is going to be terrific. Exploring Hogwarts, and they confirmed there's kind of outer areas and other areas to explore like Hogsmeade and things like that for Harry Potter fans. Seeing that finally was not only just rewarding because of the fact it was leaked so long ago now, 2 years ago now, but to see it here and for it to look really, really good, graphically super impressive as well. So I'm stoked for that. And you know, we got a bunch of other cool demos for PS5 games we already knew about. We didn't get another Ratchet & Clank one, thank God, but we got Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay for the first time, and this looked very much like Marvel Spider-Man on PS4. We saw some new abilities that Miles has, we saw some change in the UI. Spider-Man's soundtrack and music while you're playing that game was terrific, and to see it totally remixed here with some dope as beats, dude, that shit was hype, I love that. I'm just excited to get the next chapter in that story, spend some more time in New York City, swing around. What other demos did we have? We had Demon Souls, and you know, that looked really graphically impressive. I thought that looked stunning, not something I'm interested in playing like I said, but looks really cool. We had a couple of other things. There was a bit of a lull in the middle of the conference, I think, a bit of a low point, where, you know, we got another look at Deathloop, which is really cool. I think that game's got a ton of potential, Arcane doing their thing, but at the same time, you know, it looked pretty similar to the last trailer we already saw. It's got tons of personality. I think people are already sold on that one. Same goes for Oddworld Soulstorm, and I think there was a Fortnite trailer thrown in there somewhere, so that was the point where I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? But yeah, to end on God of War, man, so cool. Outside of the actual presentation itself though, with it came pre-orders and a ton of other information about actually purchasing all these goodies. And some of the information is very interesting. So we learned that a ton of what we presumed or thought to be PS5 exclusives are going to be coming to PS4 from the first party, which is very interesting. I definitely didn't see this coming. It's not unprecedented. You know, God of War 2 back in the day released on PS2 after PS3 had already come out. Bit of a different story just because these seem to be PS4 ports of PS5 games, but nonetheless, it's not totally unprecedented. Spider-Man Miles Morales, you know, makes a bit of sense coming to PS4. It does seem to be an experience that's really, at its core, very similar to Marvel Spider-Man on PS4, so having that on PS4 as well makes a lot of sense. And how many people own a PS4 at this point? 110 million units out there? That's a ton of copies it's going to sell on PS4 for Sony, so it makes a lot of sense for that one. The main one I was really surprised by was Horizon Forbidden West confirmed coming to PS4. Definitely didn't see that coming. I would have told you without a doubt, dude, that's going to be a true PS5 exclusive right there. And Sony are sticking by the fact that it is apparently built from the ground up for PS5, but it's also got a PS4 port, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The fact that God of War is 2021 now, I would have put Horizon at the end of next year, but dude, I feel like Horizon's honestly coming a lot sooner than we think. The fact that it has a PS4 port, the fact that the PS5 lineup is stacked, I'm genuinely feeling that we get Horizon Forbidden West in May next year, which is sooner than I would have thought, but that's really exciting. And I'm sure it's going to run perfectly fine on PS4. That platform's not going to get all the graphical benefits, all of the loading benefits, and things that the SSD of the PlayStation 5 provides, but I'm sure it'll be a perfectly great way to experience the game. I think it's just worth pointing out because Sony and Jim Ryan specifically has been sticking by so much the last few months in interviews that we're PlayStation, we believe in generations of consoles, clearly trying to separate themselves from the Xbox strategy of everything's playable everywhere. So it's a bit of mixed messaging in my opinion to see, oh, we love generations. This is a clear generation-defining split that's going on right here. Oh, but not really, because our exclusive games are also going to be on PS4. It's a strange move, but it makes sense. They're going to sell more copies. There's tons of PS4s out there. And this isn't something we really saw with PS4 at all. All PS4 exclusives from the first party, from memory, didn't have PS3 versions, so I wouldn't expect to see this happening for a long time. I wouldn't expect to see any PS5 exclusives coming to PS4 from 2022 and beyond, really. Prices of video games. It was already confirmed a few months ago that they're going to be going up by $10 US. In other regions of the world, that will vary, obviously. 2K was the first publisher to make that move. When they did that, they were clearly playing ball. It was obvious that everyone else was going to follow. We've already seen a few other companies follow. Now we got the confirmation that Sony as a publisher will indeed be following this rule, and next-gen games are going to be more expensive, but You know, I feel like we've kind of seen this coming for a long time. As people and executives and shit have talked about in interviews plenty of times, the price of console games have not changed in years. As we've seen the TV and film markets completely change, video games have stayed at the same mark, and it's just been strange to see, you know, games are much more impressive, much more time consuming to develop than ever before, and the price of them didn't change. So this was never unexpected, but right now we're seeing it play out right in front of us. Thanks for stopping by and listening to me chat shit about PS5. What do you think of the PS5? Are you getting a PS5? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe, do it. I swear to God. This has been SirCazz. Farewell.